The sound of the slap echoed through the restaurant like a gunshot. Every fork froze. Every conversation died. At the center of the room, a weeping waitress clutched her cheek, staring up at the most dangerous woman in New York, the fiancée of Dante Vance, the city's ruthless mafia kingpin. The fiancé smirked, expecting Dante to destroy the girl for spilling a drop of wine. Instead, Dante Vance stood up, buttoned his suit jacket, and looked at the waitress with eyes that didn't show anger, but recognition. He didn't fire the waitress. He did something that would bring the entire city to its knees. And it started with 5 cold words. "Give me back the ring." The rain battered the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Obsidian Manhattan's most exclusive dining establishment. It was the kind of place where a single appetizer cost more than most people's rent, a sanctuary of marble velvet and hushed whispers. To get a table here, you didn't just need money. You needed influence. But for Anastasia Anna Sterling, it was just another shift on her feet. Anna adjusted her apron, wincing slightly as she tightened the strings. Her back ached from a double shift, but she couldn't afford to complain. Her student loans were defaulting, her rent in Queens was overdue, and her mother's medical bills were piling up on the kitchen counter like snowdrifts. She brushed a stray lock of chestnut hair behind her ear and picked up the heavy tray loaded with crystal flutes of Louis Roederer champagne. "Table 4 needs a refill," the floor manager. A nervous man named Mr. Henderson hissed as he walked by. "And for God's sake, Anastasia, don't look them in the eye. It's Dante Vance." The name sent a chill through the kitchen staff. Dante Vance. He wasn't just a businessman. He was the uncrowned king of the East Coast underworld. Rumors swirled around him like smoke. They said he took over the Vance syndicate at 25 after his father was assassinated. They said he had never lost a negotiation or a war. He was 32 now, a man who moved through the city like a shark through dark water, lethal, silent, and untouchable. Tonight he was dining with his fiancée, Tiffany Blair. Tiffany was the daughter of a corrupt senator, a match made in political heaven and romantic hell. She was undeniably beautiful with platinum blonde hair and a figure that graced the covers of fashion magazines, but her eyes were cold, hard chips of ice. She treated the staff not like humans, but like furniture that occasionally malfunctioned. Anna took a deep breath, steeling herself. Just do the job. Get the tip. Go home. She approached table 4. Dante Vance sat with his back to the window, wearing a bespoke charcoal suit that likely cost more than Anna's entire life earnings. He was typing on a phone, his expression unreadable, his dark hair perfectly styled. He radiated an intensity that made the air around him feel heavy. Tiffany, on the other hand, was already 3 martinis deep and clearly agitated. "I told you, Dante," Tiffany snapped her voice, cutting through the ambient jazz music. "My father expects the port deal to go through by Friday. If you don't sign the papers, he's going to hold up your construction permits in the meat-packing district." Dante didn't look up from his phone. "Tell the senator that if he threatens my permits again, I'll release the photos from his trip to the Cayman Islands." His voice was a low baritone, smooth, but laced with razor wire. Tiffany huffed, crossing her arms. "You're impossible. You're lucky I'm marrying you. No one else would put up with your coldness." "Champagne, madam, sir?" Anna asked softly, stepping into the lion's den. Tiffany whipped her head around her eyes, narrowing as she looked Anna up and down. She sneered at Anna's uniform, which was clean but slightly worn at the cuffs. "Finally," Tiffany spat. "I've been empty for 5 minutes. Do they hire tortoises at this establishment? I apologize for the delay, miss, Anna said, keeping her head bowed. She reached over to pour the champagne into Tiffany's flute. It happened in a split second. Tiffany, perhaps agitated by Dante's indifference, or simply feeling malicious, jerked her elbow back abruptly, just as Anna tilted the bottle. The movement knocked Anna's wrist. The champagne bottle slipped. Golden liquid cascaded out, not onto the table, but directly onto the lap of Tiffany's scarlet Versace evening gown. The silence that followed was instant and terrifying. Anna froze the empty bottle, clutched in her trembling hand. "Oh my God, I am so sorry. Let me get a towel." "You idiot!" Tiffany shrieked, jumping to her feet. The chair scraped loudly against the marble floor. "Do you have any idea what this is? This is custom silk, you stupid, clumsy little impoverished brat." "I'm sorry, it was an accident, Smack. The sound was sickeningly loud. Tiffany's hand connected with Anna's cheek with full force. Anna stumbled back, her hand flying to her face, shock overriding the pain. Tears pricked her eyes, but she bit her lip, refusing to let them fall. She was humiliated. The entire restaurant was watching. Waiters paused with trays held high. Diners lowered their forks. Mr. Henderson came running from the kitchen, his face pale. "Miss Blair, I am so terribly sorry." "We will pay for the dress, of course." Anastasia get to the kitchen immediately. No." Tiffany hissed, her chest heaving. She pointed a manicured finger at Anna. "I want her fired, now, and I want her blacklisted from every restaurant in this city. And then I want her arrested for assault." "Assault?" Anna whispered, her voice shaking. "You hit me." "You attacked me with a bottle," Tiffany screamed, playing the victim with practiced ease. She turned to Dante, who had remained seated, his back still to the window. He hadn't moved a muscle during the entire exchange. "Dante, are you going to let this servant speak to your future wife like that? Destroy her?" The room held its breath. Everyone knew what happened when Dante Vance got involved. People disappeared. Lives were ruined. Dante Vance slowly placed his phone on the table screen down. He picked up his napkin, dabbed his mouth, and stood up. He towered over the table, standing 6'3". He buttoned his jacket, his movements deliberate and terrifyingly calm. He turned his gaze toward Anna. Anna looked down, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. She prepared for the shouting for the security guards to drag her out, for her life to be over. Dante took a step closer to her. He reached out a hand. Anna flinched, closing her eyes. But the blow never came. Instead, warm, rough fingers gently tilted her chin up. Anna opened her eyes and found herself staring into the darkest, most intense eyes she had ever seen. They were the color of espresso flecked with gold, and right now they were searching her face with a strange intensity. Dante looked at the red handprint blooming on her pale cheek. His jaw tightened. A muscle feathered in his cheek. He looked at her name tag. Anastasia. Then his eyes dropped to her neck. There, hidden partially by her collar, was a cheap silver chain holding a small, tarnished locket shaped like a compass. Dante's eyes widened imperceptibly. He looked back at her face, really looking at her, this time the curve of her nose, the shape of her eyes. "Anastasia," he said, his voice low. It wasn't a question. It was a confirmation. "Yes, sir," she whispered. Dante turned slowly to face Tiffany. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Dante," Tiffany asked, her confidence faltering for the first time. "What are you doing? Call security." "Mr. Henderson," Dante said, not looking away from Tiffany. Yes, Mr. Vance, the manager squeaked. Bring me the footage from the security camera directly above this table. I want it sent to my personal server immediately. Of course, sir. And bring a bag of ice, Dante added. For the lady. Tiffany smirked, crossing her arms triumphantly. Finally. Make sure she packs her things, Dante. Dante turned back to Anna. He took the ice pack from the rushing manager and with shocking tenderness pressed it against Anna's stinging cheek. The entire restaurant gasped. Hold this, Dante murmured to Anna. Then he turned to Tiffany. His face was a mask of cold fury. The ice wasn't for her, Tiffany, Dante said smoothly. It was for you, because you're going to need it when the swelling of your ego goes down. Excuse me, Tiffany blinked. You slapped my employee, Dante said, his voice rising just enough to carry to the back of the room. You caused a scene in my place of business, and you showed a lack of class that is frankly embarrassing. Your employee, Tiffany laughed nervously. Dante, she ruined my dress. She's a nobody. She is a human being, Dante corrected. And as for the dress, he reached into his inner pocket, pulled out a checkbook and scribbled a number. He ripped the check out and let it flutter to the floor at Tiffany's feet. That is $10,000. Buy a new one, and buy a new fiancé while you're at it. Tiffany stared at the check, then at Dante. Her mouth fell open. What? The engagement is over, Dante said simply. Get out. The silence that followed Dante's declaration was heavier than the one following the slap. It was the silence of a bomb having just detonated, with the dust settling over the ruins of a political alliance. Tiffany Blair stood frozen, her face flushing a deep mottled crimson that clashed with her ruined red dress. You can't be serious, she stammered, her voice shrill. My father. The port deal. The election. Your father, Dante said, his voice bored, is a man who knows better than to bet against the house. I don't need his permits, Tiffany. I never did. I was doing him a favor. Dante stepped closer to her, his voice dropping to a lethal whisper that only she and Anna could hear. I tolerate many things in my world, Tiffany. Greed, ambition, even ruthlessness. But I do not tolerate cruelty toward those who cannot fight back. It is a sign of weakness, and I do not marry weak women. He gestured to the door. Leave, before I have security escort you out, and take your check. I don't want you coming back claiming I owe you a dime. Tiffany looked around the room. She saw the diners staring some hiding smirks behind their napkins. Her social standing was crumbling in real time. With a strangled cry of rage, she snatched the check from the floor, turned on her heel, and stormed out of the restaurant, the heavy glass doors swinging shut behind her. Dante Vance didn't watch her go. He turned his attention back to Anna. Anna was trembling, still holding the ice pack to her cheek. She was terrified. She had just been the catalyst for the breakup of the city's biggest power couple. She knew how these stories went. The rich man defends the poor girl to look good, then fires her quietly in the back office to remove the reminder of the incident. Mr. Vance? Anna whispered, lowering the ice. I will pack my things. I'm so sorry for the trouble. She turned to flee toward the kitchen, but Dante's hand shot out, catching her wrist. His grip was firm but not painful. Where are you going? He asked. To leave. To quit. Before you fire me. Dante frowned. Who said you were fired? But the trouble. You didn't cause trouble, Anastasia, Dante said. He released her wrist, but kept his gaze locked on hers. You revealed a problem I should have seen months ago. You did me a favor. He looked at Mr. Henderson, who was sweating profusely nearby. "Henderson." "Yes, Mr. Vance. Anastasia is done for the night. Put her on paid leave for the week to recover." "Yes, sir." "Of course, sir." "And Henderson." "Sir. If anyone from the Blair family calls or tries to enter this establishment, they are barred. Permanently." Dante turned back to Anna. "Come with me." "Excuse me." Anna blinked. "My driver is outside. I'm taking you home. I don't trust Tiffany not to have someone waiting for you by the employee exit." "Oh no, I couldn't possibly." "It wasn't a request," Dante said, though his tone was softer now. He gestured toward the main exit. Anna hesitated. She looked at her scuffed work shoes, then at Dante's polished Oxfords. She had no money for a cab, and taking the subway at 11 p.m. after humiliating a senator's daughter was dangerous. "Okay," she whispered. They walked out of the restaurant together. The paparazzi, tipped off by someone inside, were already swarming the entrance. Flashes popped like lightning strikes. Dante placed a protective hand on the small of Anna's back, guiding her through the throng of photographers, shouting questions about Tiffany. He shielded her face with his body, ushering her into the back of a sleek, black-armored SUV. The door shut, sealing out the noise and the rain. The interior smelled of expensive leather and cedarwood. "Where do you live?" Dante asked as the car pulled away. "Astoria, 34th Street," Anna said, feeling small in the vast leather seat. Dante tapped on the partition. "Astoria, driver." They sat in silence for a few minutes as the city lights blurred past the rain-streaked windows. Anna kept stealing glances at him. He was terrifying, yes, but there was something else. He seemed haunted. "Why did you do that?" Anna asked suddenly, her curiosity overriding her fear. "Everyone is afraid of you. They say you're a monster, but you helped me." Dante looked out the window. "I don't like bullies, and I don't like debts." "Debts I don't owe you anything." "No," Dante said, turning to look at her. His eyes dropped to the silver locket around her neck again. "But I might owe you." Anna instinctively covered the locket with her hand. "What do you mean?" "That locket," Dante said. "The compass. Where did you get it?" Anna stiffened. "It was my father's. He died a long time ago." "Your father," Dante repeated. "His name was Robert Sterling." Anna's breath hitched. She pressed herself back against the door. "How do you know that—" Dante's expression softened, the hard lines of his face resourcing into something that looked almost like sorrow. "Because Anastasia. Robert Sterling was the only man I ever trusted. He was my father's consigliere, and he saved my life when I was a boy." Anna stared at him, her mind reeling. Her father had been a simple accountant, hadn't he? That's what her mother had always said. He died in a car accident when Anna was 10. "You're mistaken," Anna said, her voice shaking. "My father was an accountant." "Is that what they told you?" Dante asked gently. "Did they tell you he died in a car crash on the I-95? Anna nodded mutely. "He didn't," Dante said. "He died taking a bullet meant for me during the Turf War of '08. He died a hero, and before he died he gave me something to give to his daughter if I ever found her." Dante reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet pouch. He opened it, revealing a silver ring, a heavy signet-style ring, with a crest that matched the compass on her locket. "He wanted you to be safe," Dante said. "So he had your mother change your names and move you away. I've been looking for Robert's family for 12 years. And tonight you spilled champagne on my fiancée." A small, dry laugh escaped Anna's lips. The absurdity of it was overwhelming. "So," Anna managed to say, "you're not firing me because my dad worked for you. I'm not firing you because you're family," Dante said firmly. "In my world, loyalty is blood. Your father bled for me. That makes you under my protection." The car came to a smooth halt in front of her run-down apartment building in Astoria. The contrast between the luxury SUV and the peeling paint of her building was stark. "Listen to me carefully, Anastasia," Dante said, his voice turning serious again. "Tiffany is petty, but her father, Senator Blair, is dangerous. He uses the law like a weapon. By humiliating Tiffany, I've started a war. And you are now a target because the press will paint you as the other woman to sell papers." "I'm just a waitress," Anna protested. "Not anymore," Dante said. He pulled a card from his pocket and handed it to her. "Tomorrow morning, do not go to the restaurant. A car will pick you up at 8 a.m. You're coming to Vance Tower." "Why?" "Because—" Dante said, his eyes flashing with a dark promise. "If Tiffany wants a war, I'm going to need someone I can trust. And if you have your father's blood in, you're smarter than you look." Anna took the card. "I was a medical student," she blurted out, "before the money ran out. I'm not just a waitress." Dante smiled, a rare, genuine smile that transformed his face. "I know. I saw how you handled the cut on your hand when the glass broke last week. You didn't panic. You triaged. You were watching me last week." "I watch everything in my city," Dante said. "Go inside, lock the door. Do not open it for anyone but me." Anna got out of the car, her head spinning. She watched the SUV drive away, disappearing into the rainy night. She touched her cheek where Tiffany had slapped her, then touched the locket at her throat. Her life as a nobody was over. The next morning, Anna woke up to the sound of her phone buzzing incessantly. She groggily reached for it and gasped. She had 50 missed calls, text messages from numbers she didn't know. And when she opened her social media, her face was everywhere. Mafia kingpin dumps senator's daughter for mystery. Waitress, the slap heard around New York. Video inside someone had recorded the incident. The video had 12 million views. It showed Tiffany slapping her, and then Dante's cold, dismantling speech. The internet was divided, half calling Dante a hero, half calling Anna a home-wrecker. A loud pounding on her apartment door made her jump. "Anastasia Sterling, NYPD, open up!" Anna's heart stopped. NYPD. She scrambled out of bed, throwing on a robe. She peered through the peephole. 2 uniformed officers and a man in a cheap suit were standing there. She opened the door a crack. "Yes, Anastasia Sterling?" the man in the suit asked. He held up a badge. "Detective Miller, we have a warrant to search these premises." "Search for what?" "Grand larceny," Detective Miller said, shoving the door open. "Miss Tiffany Blair claims you stole a diamond bracelet from her wrist during the altercation last night." "What?" "That's a lie," Anna cried, backing away as the officers pushed past her into her small living room. "I didn't steal anything." "She hit me." "We'll see about that," Miller sneered. He looked around the apartment with disdain. "Check the bedroom." They began tearing her apartment apart, pulling books off shelves, dumping drawers onto the floor. Anna stood in the corner, shaking. She knew what this was. This was the senator's response. They were going to plant something. They were going to frame her. "Look at this," one of the officers called out from the bedroom. He emerged holding a glittering diamond bracelet. Anna's blood ran cold. I have never seen that in my life. "Save it for the judge, sweetie," Detective Miller said, pulling out handcuffs. "You're under arrest." He grabbed her arm, spinning her around. The metal cuffs clicked tight against her wrists. "Please, I didn't do it," Anna begged. "Let me call someone. You can make your call from the station." They dragged her out of the apartment, down the stairs and onto the street. Neighbors were watching from their windows. Anna felt tears of shame burning her eyes. They shoved her into the back of a squad car. As the car pulled away, Anna saw a black sedan parked across the street. The window rolled down just an inch, revealing a pair of eyes watching her. But it wasn't Dante. It was a man with a scar running down his cheek. One of Senator Blair's fixers. At the precinct, they didn't put her in a holding cell. They put her in an interrogation room. Detective Miller sat across from her, a file folder on the table. "Here is how this works." "Anastasia," Miller said, leaning in. "The senator is a forgiving man. He doesn't want to ruin a young girl's life. He is willing to drop the charges." "If," Anna asked, her voice raspy. "If you sign a statement," Miller slid a piece of paper toward her, "admitting that you provoked Miss Blair, that you were drunk on the job, and that Dante Vance coerced you into making a scene to embarrass the senator." Anna read the paper. It was a complete fabrication. It would clear Tiffany's name, destroy Anna's reputation, and give the senator ammunition to go after Dante. "And if I don't sign, then you go to Rikers for grand larceny, 5 to 10 years. And we'll look into your mother's medical bills. I hear there are some irregularities with her insurance. It would be a shame if she lost coverage." Anna felt sick. They were threatening her mother. She picked up the pen. Her hand trembled. She had no choice. Dante was powerful, but this was the police. This was the government. The door to the interrogation room slammed open. Every head turned. Standing in the doorway was not Dante Vance. It was a woman in a sharp navy blue pantsuit, holding a briefcase. She had glasses perched on her nose and an air of absolute authority. Behind her stood 2 very large men in suits, and behind them was the police captain, looking terrified. "Who the hell are you?" Detective Miller barked, standing up. "I'm Eleanor Vance," the woman said, adjusting her glasses. "Dante's sister, and his chief legal counsel." She walked into the room and snatched the paper from under Anna's pen. She read it once, scoffed, and tore it in half. "You can't do that," Miller shouted. "I just did," Eleanor said calmly. She turned to the captain. "Captain, my client is being held without due process on charges based on a planted piece of evidence. I have security footage from the restaurant showing Miss Blair wearing the bracelet after she left the building. I also have time-stamped photos of her wearing it at a club 2 hours later." She slammed a tablet onto the table. On the screen was a photo of Tiffany dancing at a club, the diamond bracelet clearly visible on her wrist. The color drained from Detective Miller's face. "Furthermore," Eleanor continued, her voice like a whip, "I have filed a formal complaint with Internal Affairs regarding Detective Miller's financial records. It seems he received a generous wire transfer this morning from a shell company linked to Senator Blair's campaign fund." The room went silent. "Uncuff her," the captain ordered, his voice shaking. "Now." Miller fumbled for his keys and unlocked the cuffs. Anna rubbed her sore wrists, looking up at Eleanor in amazement. "Come, Anastasia," Eleanor said, offering a hand. "Dante is waiting, and he is very unhappy." The ride to Vance Tower was silent, but the air inside the limousine was thick enough to choke on. Anna sat next to Eleanor, her hands still rubbing the red marks on her wrists where the handcuffs had bitten into her skin. She looked out the tinted window as the car approached a gleaming spire of black glass that pierced the Manhattan skyline. Vance Tower. It looked less like a corporate headquarters and more like a fortress. They bypassed the lobby, taking a private elevator that ascended 60 floors in seconds. When the doors opened, Anna stepped into a penthouse that spanned the entire top floor. It was a masterpiece of modern architecture, floor-to-ceiling windows, offering a panoramic view of the city's dark mahogany floors and art that belonged in museums. Dante was standing by the fireplace, a tumbler of amber liquid in his hand. He had shed his suit jacket and rolled up his sleeves, revealing forearms corded with muscle and a tattoo of a compass on his right wrist, matching the one on Anna's locket. He didn't turn around when they entered. "Did you get her out?" His voice rumbled low and dangerous. "With time to spare," Eleanor said, placing her briefcase on a glass table. "But Senator Blair is playing dirty Dante. He didn't just try to frame her. He froze the construction accounts for the Hudson project 20 minutes ago. He's claiming mafia ties to the funding." Dante turned, then his eyes burning with a cold fire. He looked at Anna, his gaze softening momentarily as he saw her bruised wrists. "I'm sorry," Dante said to Anna. "I underestimated how quickly he would strike." "He sent the police," Anna said, her voice trembling, but gaining strength. "He tried to ruin my life just because his daughter was embarrassed." "He tried to ruin your life because you are now associated with me," Dante corrected. "And in his eyes that makes you a pawn he can crush to hurt me." Dante walked over to the window, looking down at the city that looked like a circuit board from this height. "The senator thinks he can squeeze me. He thinks that by attacking my reputation and my finances, he can force me back to Tiffany. He believes I need his political cover to operate." "Do you?" Anna asked boldly. Dante laughed, a dark, humorless sound. "I own half the judges in this state, Anastasia. I don't need his cover, but I do need to neutralize him without turning him into a martyr. If I kill him, he becomes a hero. If I expose him clumsily, he spins it." He turned to face her fully. "I need to destroy his credibility. I need to make him look like a desperate, vindictive man attacking a happy couple." Anna frowned. "What happy couple?" Dante walked toward her, stopping just inches away. The scent of sandalwood and expensive whiskey filled her senses. "Us?" Anna blinked. "Excuse me. The press is already calling you the mystery woman," Dante said. "If we hide you look like a mistress and I look like a scoundrel. But if we embrace it, if we show the world that I left Tiffany not because of a spill, but because I found true love." "You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend?" Anna asked, shocked. "Not girlfriend," Dante said, his eyes locking onto hers. "My fiancée." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a ring box. He flipped it open. Inside sat a diamond that made Tiffany's engagement ring look like a piece of broken glass. It was a rare blue diamond, surrounded by smaller white stones set in platinum. "This was my mother's," Dante said. "It is the only thing the senator fears legitimacy. If I marry a common girl, a hard-working medical student whose father was a war hero, the public will eat it up. We become the fairy tale, and Tiffany becomes the bitter ex who tried to frame Cinderella." "This is insane," Anna whispered. "I can't marry a mafia boss." "It's a contract," Eleanor interjected professionally. 6 months. You live here. You attend galas. You smile for the cameras. In exchange, Dante pays off your mother's medical bills in full, pays off your student loans, and sets up a trust fund that will ensure you never have to carry a tray again." Anna looked at the ring, then at Dante. She thought about her mother lying in a hospital bed, worrying about the cost of her medication. She thought about the humiliation in the restaurant. She thought about Detective Miller sneering at her. "And the senator?" Anna asked. "What happens to him?" Dante's expression turned predatory. "While the world is watching our romance, Eleanor and I will be dismantling his empire brick by brick. By the time our wedding date arrives, Senator Blair will be lucky if he can get a job as a mall Santa." Anna took a deep breath. She reached out and took the ring. It was heavy. "One condition," Anna said. Dante raised an eyebrow. "Name it." "I'm not just a prop," she said, her chin lifted high. "If we do this, you treat me with respect, and you tell me the truth about my father. Everything." Dante smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. "Deal." He took the ring from her fingers and slid it onto her hand. It fit perfectly. "Welcome to the family, Anastasia." The next 3 days were a whirlwind that Anna could barely comprehend. She was no longer Anna the waitress. She was Anastasia Sterling, the future Mrs. Vance. Dante didn't do things by halves. He hired a team of stylists, etiquette coaches, and security detail. But unlike Tiffany, who treated staff like garbage, Dante treated his team like a military unit, with precision and respect. Anna learned quickly. She learned how to walk in 6-inch Louboutins without wincing. She learned which fork to use for escargot. But more importantly, she spent her evenings with Dante in his study, listening to him tell stories about her father. She learned that Robert Sterling hadn't just been a bodyguard. He had been the moral compass of the Vance syndicate. He had kept Dante's father from crossing lines that couldn't be uncrossed. "You have his spirit," Dante told her one night as they sat on the balcony, watching the rain over the city. "You stood up to Tiffany. Most men in my organization wouldn't dare do that." "I was terrified," Anna admitted. "Bravery isn't the absence of fear," Dante said, looking at her with an intensity that made her breath hitch. "It's acting in spite of it." The real test came on Saturday night, the Metropolitan Charity Gala. It was the biggest social event of the year. The senator would be there. Tiffany would be there. And Dante intended to introduce his new fiancée to the world. Anna stood in front of the mirror in the master bedroom. She hardly recognized herself. She was wearing a custom-made gown of midnight blue velvet that hugged her curves and pooled on the floor like liquid night. It was strapless, showcasing her creamy skin and the diamond necklace Dante had gifted her, a piece worth more than the restaurant she used to work in. Her hair was swept up in an intricate chignon, with loose tendrils framing her face. Her makeup was bold, highlighting her eyes. "You look..." Dante's voice trailed off from the doorway. Anna turned. Dante was wearing a tuxedo that fit him like a second skin. He looked devastatingly handsome, dangerous and regal. "You look worthy of a queen." Dante finished walking over to her. He offered his arm. "Are you ready for war, Anastasia?" Anna took his arm, feeling the solid muscle beneath the fine wool. "As I'll ever be." The arrival at the gala was chaos. The moment Dante's limousine pulled up, the paparazzi swarmed. Flashbulbs blinded them. Reporters shouted questions. Dante. "Is it true? Who is she? What about Tiffany?" Dante ignored them all. He guided Anna up the red carpet, his hand firm on her waist. He didn't rush. He let them see her. He let them see the ring. Inside the ballroom was a sea of diamonds and designer suits. When Dante and Anna entered the room, went silent. The music didn't stop, but the conversation did. At the far end of the room, holding court near the champagne tower, were Senator Blair and Tiffany. Tiffany looked haggard. Her eyes were puffy, though she tried to hide it with heavy makeup. She was wearing a gold dress that looked too desperate, too flashy. When she saw Anna, her glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor, a poetic echo of the incident at the restaurant. Dante leaned down to Anna's ear. "Head high, smile. You own this room." They moved through the crowd. People who would have ignored Anna a week ago were now practically bowing. Dante introduced her simply, "My fiancée, Anastasia." They made their way to the senator. It was unavoidable. It was the main event. Senator Blair was a large man, with a red face and a fake smile that didn't reach his shark-like eyes. "Dante," the senator boomed, though his voice was tight. "And the waitress. I see you clean up well." "Anastasia," Dante corrected icily. "And yes, she does. Unlike some, she doesn't need a title to have class." Tiffany stepped forward, trembling with rage. "You think you can just bring her here, in front of me? This is a joke, Dante. She's a gold digger. Everyone knows it." Anna felt the anger flare in her chest, but she remembered her training. She remembered her father. "Tiffany," Anna said, her voice calm and melodic. "I understand you're hurting. Breakups are hard. But please don't embarrass yourself further. The bracelet incident was bad enough." A few people nearby gasped. The senator's eyes narrowed. "Watch your tongue, girl," the senator hissed. "You're playing a dangerous game. You think Dante can protect you. He's a criminal, and criminals always crash." "Actually, Senator," Eleanor's voice cut in as she appeared beside them holding a glass of sparkling water. "We're currently reviewing the legality of your offshore holdings in Panama. It seems criminals come in all shapes and sizes. Some even wear Senate pins." The senator paled. "You wouldn't dare." "Try me," Dante said softly. "Touch her or her family, and I release the files. Enjoy the party, Senator." Dante swept Anna away onto the dance floor. He pulled her close, his hand warm on her back. As they began to sway to the waltz, Anna felt a rush of adrenaline. "We did it," she whispered. "Not yet," Dante said, his eyes scanning the room over her shoulder. "The senator is cornered, and a cornered rat bites." The attack happened 2 days later. It wasn't a lawsuit. It wasn't a headline. It was physical. Anna was leaving the Vance Tower to visit her mother at the private clinic Dante had transferred her to. She had insisted on going alone, just a quick trip with the driver. She felt safe. The media loved her. The public was on her side. But as the car idled at a red light in a quiet intersection, a heavy delivery truck slammed into the side of the limo. Glass shattered. Metal screamed. The world spun violently. Anna blacked out for a moment. When she came to, she was being dragged out of the wreckage by rough hands. She coughed, tasting blood. "Get her in the van. Go, go." She was thrown into the back of a windowless van. A hood was shoved over her head. Zip ties bit into her wrists. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced through her concussion. She didn't scream. She forced herself to breathe. Think. Triangulate. Listen. She heard the hum of the engine, the sound of tires on gravel. They were leaving the city. After what felt like an hour, the van stopped. She was hauled out and dragged into a building that smelled of damp concrete and rust. The hood was ripped off. She was in an abandoned warehouse. Standing in front of her, flanked by 2 armed thugs, was not the senator. It was Tiffany. Tiffany held a gun, her hand shaking. She looked unhinged. Her hair was messy, her eyes wild. "You took everything." Tiffany screamed, her voice echoing in the empty space. "My fiancé, my reputation, my father's legacy, he's ruined because of you." "Tiffany, put the gun down," Anna said, trying to keep her voice steady despite the throbbing in her head. "This isn't the way." "Shut up." Tiffany fired a shot into the ceiling. Anna flinched. "My father is being indicted. Eleanor Vance leaked the documents this morning. The FBI is at our house right now. It's over." "If it's over," a deep voice boomed from the shadows, "then why dig the hole deeper?" Tiffany spun around. Dante Vance stepped out of the darkness of the loading dock entrance. He was alone. He wore a black trench coat, his hands empty held out to his sides. "Dante," Tiffany cried, aiming the gun at him. "Stay back. I'll kill her. I swear I'll kill her." "You won't," Dante said, walking forward slowly, his steps echoing on the concrete. "Because you're not a killer, Tiffany. You're a spoiled child throwing a tantrum. Your father put you up to this, didn't he? He wanted a hostage to trade for his freedom." "He said you would listen," Tiffany sobbed. "He said you loved me once." "I never loved you," Dante said, his voice devoid of pity. "I tolerated you. But this woman," he looked at Anna, his eyes burning with a terrifying protectiveness. "If you hurt her, Tiffany, there is no place on earth you can hide. I will burn the world down to find you." "Stop walking!" Tiffany shrieked. She swung the gun back toward Anna. Bang! The shot rang out. Anna squeezed her eyes shut, waiting for the pain. But it wasn't Tiffany who fired. Tiffany gasped, dropping the gun. She clutched her shoulder, where a red blossom of blood was spreading. She fell to her knees, wailing. From the catwalks above, red laser sights dotted the room. Dante's snipers. They had been there the whole time. The two thugs holding Anna raised their hands instantly, realizing they were outmatched. Dante rushed forward, closing the distance in a second. He ignored Tiffany, ignored the thugs. He fell to his knees in front of Anna, his hands frantically checking her for injuries. "Anastasia!" He breathed, his composure shattering. "Are you hurt? Did they touch you?" "I'm okay," she whispered, shaking. "Just a headache." Dante pulled a knife from his boot and sliced the zip ties. He pulled her into his chest, burying his face in her neck. He was trembling. The monster of New York. The Ice King was shaking. "I thought I lost you," he murmured against her skin. "When I got the call, I thought I lost you." Anna wrapped her arms around him, holding him just as tight. In that moment, surrounded by armed men and a weeping Tiffany, she realized something. This wasn't a contract anymore. "I knew you'd come," she said. Dante pulled back, framing her face with his hands. He kissed her hard, desperate and possessive. It wasn't a kiss for the cameras. It was a promise. He stood up, pulling her with him. He turned to his men who had descended from the catwalks. "Hand the men over to the police," Dante ordered. "Leave the gun with Tiffany. Let the cops find her here with an illegal weapon and a kidnapping victim. Her father can't save her this time." He scooped Anna up into his arms, carrying her bridal style toward the exit. "Where are we going?" Anna asked, resting her head on his shoulder. "Home," Dante said, "and then I'm going to end the senator." The fallout wasn't just a scandal. It was a total demolition. In the 48 hours following the incident at the warehouse, the footage of Tiffany Blair, disheveled, hysterical and wielding a firearm against an unarmed woman, hit the internet like a tactical nuclear weapon. Dante's team ensured the leak was untraceable, but pervasive. There was no spinning it. The photos of Tiffany being led into the courthouse in an orange jumpsuit, stripped of her designer gowns and arrogance, became the defining image of the year. But her fall was merely the prelude. The main event was her father. Senator Blair had spent 30 years building a fortress of influence, but Eleanor Vance had found the loose brick. With the documents she provided to the FBI, the fortress collapsed. Anna watched it all from the safety of the penthouse living room. She saw the senator himself looking 20 years older than he had at the gala, being shoved into the back of a black government sedan. He didn't look like a titan of industry anymore. He looked like a frightened old man. "It's done." Dante's voice came from behind her. Anna turned. Dante stood in the doorway, phone in hand. He looked exhausted. "The district attorney is seeking the maximum sentence. Blair will die in prison. And Tiffany, she'll likely take a plea deal for 10 years. 10 years? Anna whispered. It feels strange to see them destroyed like that. It is the cost of war, Dante said simply. He poured himself a drink, but didn't offer one to her. There was a distance between them now, a growing chasm that had opened the moment the danger passed. For the next month, life fell into a bizarre, quiet rhythm. The threat was gone. Dante made good on every single promise. He purchased a renovated cottage in upstate New York, for Anna's mother paid off every cent of debt Anna had ever accrued and set up a blind trust ensuring she would never have to work again. It was everything Anna had dreamed of when she was scrubbing tables at the Obsidian. She was safe, wealthy, and free, and she was miserable. The penthouse, once a fortress, now felt like a waiting room. Dante was physically present but emotionally absent, treating her with a polite, excruciating courtesy. He was treating her like a guest who had overstayed her welcome. Then came the morning of the deadline. It was a Monday. Eleanor arrived at 9:00 a.m. sharp. She sat at the dining table laying out documents with clinical efficiency. These are the dissolution papers for the engagement, Eleanor said. Once signed, the narrative will be that you and Dante have decided to part ways amicably. You keep the assets, the house, and the trust. Anna stared at the papers. Dissolution. Part ways. Amicably. Where is he? Anna asked. Dante is on the balcony, Eleanor replied softly. He wanted to give you space. I don't need space, Anna said, standing up. I need him. She slid open the heavy glass doors to the terrace. The wind was biting, whipping her hair around her face. Dante stood at the railing looking out over his city, his knuckles white as he gripped the metal. Eleanor is efficient, Dante said without turning. The terms are generous. You should sign them. Is that an order? Anna asked, stepping beside him. Dante finally looked at her. His eyes were dark pools of torment. It is a plea. I promised you freedom, Anastasia. I dragged you into a world of kidnappings and federal investigations. I almost got you killed. But you didn't, Anna countered. You saved me. This time, Dante said harshly. He turned fully toward her. I saved you this time. But look at me, Anna. I am the man who destroyed a senator's life in 4 weeks. Darkness follows me. If you stay, the darkness will eventually consume you. He reached out his hand, hovering near her face, before dropping. You have a chance to walk away. Go back to medical school. Meet a nice doctor. Have a safe family. That is what your father would have wanted. Don't you dare speak for my father, Anna said, her voice rising against the wind. You told me he was a hero because he stayed, because he stood by you. He died, Dante roared, his composure cracking. He died protecting me. I will not let his daughter suffer the same fate." "That's not your choice," Anna yelled back, tears stinging her eyes. "You think I want safe? Dante, a nice doctor, wouldn't have burned the world down to find me. A nice doctor wouldn't have put ice on my face when I was humiliated. I tried the normal life. It was cold and lonely. I want the man who came for me in the dark." Dante stared at her, his chest heaving. "I am a dangerous man, Anastasia." "I know," she said. She pulled the silver compass locket from under her sweater. "But I have a compass, and it points to you. It always has." Dante looked at the locket, then back into her eyes. The walls he had built around his heart, walls of guilt and duty, began to crumble. He let out a ragged breath of surrender. "I tried," he murmured, cupping her cheek. "I tried so hard to let you go." "Stop trying," Anna whispered, "and start asking." Dante closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, the torment was replaced by fierce clarity. He reached into his pocket. Anna expected the massive blue diamond prop ring. Instead, he pulled out a small velvet box containing a simple band of brushed platinum engraved with a tiny compass rose. "I had this made the day after the warehouse," Dante said, his voice thick with emotion. "The other ring was for the show. This is for us. It's a promise that if you stay, you are not a prop. You are my partner, my wife." He dropped to one knee on the cold stone. "Anastasia Sterling," Dante said, looking up at her with a vulnerability the world would never see. "I love you. I think I have loved you since you spilled champagne on Tiffany's dress. Will you marry me? Not for a contract, but forever." Anna looked at the man who terrified the city kneeling before her. Tears spilled over her lashes. "Yes," she whispered, then louder. "Yes. Forever." Dante slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. He stood and pulled her into his arms, kissing her with a desperate, consuming hunger that sealed their fate. As they broke apart, breathless snow began to fall, covering the grime of the city in pristine white. Dante wrapped his coat around her, pulling her close as they looked out over the skyline. "What now?" Anna asked, twisting the silver ring on her finger. Dante smiled, a dark, satisfied curve of his lips. "Now," he said, "now we rule." And that is how a simple mistake in a restaurant toppled an empire and created a love story for the ages. It proves that sometimes the worst moments in our lives, like a slap in the face, are actually the push we need to find our destiny. Dante and Anastasia showed us that loyalty, bravery, and a little bit of karma can overcome even the most powerful enemies. What did you think of Dante's revenge? Did the senator and Tiffany get what they deserved? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this story of justice and romance, please smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on the next dramatic story. I've got a really intense one coming up next week about a billionaire who poses as a janitor, and you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.